the fight looked better, right? I think that's fair to say. The fight wasn't CG nightmarish behemoth. This week instead it was, I guess, like 2 Unis, 2 Ogres, whatever, red and blue Uni fighting him, right? That looked a lot better. But of course it still looked pretty bad. It wasn't like it was a good fight, right? It was just like, oh yeah, okay, they're fighting and it looks decent. The fight wasn't any particularly good, but in comparison to last week, it actually looked pretty good, right? That being said, the actual fight itself, though, in my opinion, was really stupid. The fight itself was absolute crap, how that worked, because it's like, okay, so the big Oni guys can't leave the door, right? So they're just standing there and like, yeah, they can't do shit apparently. So if you have a ranged weapon, you could just shoot at them, right? They couldn't leave the door. So you can stand there and shoot until they die. So they were incredibly bad boss to free this vampire goddess princess thing, yeah. So she's a princess, kind of legendary super vampire, right? And in front of her, they have 2 bosses that cannot leave where they are standing. So incredibly bad. And also for that matter, why were the boss guys the keys? Doesn't make any goddamn sense. Why would you have the key next to the door, right? It doesn't make any sense. It's like having the classic thing, right? Where you lock the door and then you hide that key under something, you know, under your mat, or you hide the key in some kind of flower pot, so like next to the door, right? So the typical burglar, you check your plots and so on, yeah. That classic kind of thing, right? That people seem to do a lot, yeah. That's how it felt like. Okay, so we have 2 massive boss guys in front of the door, and inside of them are the keys to open the door. That's just retarded. Like, why would you do that? I would never design my vampire prison to have the 2 legendary keys next to the door. That's a freaking, like, you know, mama thing that the mother does for her like 5-year-old kids when they're going out and playing and she wants to lock the door but only have 1 key, right? That's what you do, yeah. So that's ridiculous. In a similar way, the salamander thing, or like the basilisk thing, are probably blind, right? They're in the freaking cave. They're like 100, 200 foot out in a cave. Salamander has no eyesight, in reality at least. And listen such as snakes and so on. Snakes listen to the vibration in ground and so on, right? They're almost completely blind, most of them at least, and especially the one in caves. So the flash bomb on that thing was really stupid. I mean, either is very, yeah, because even if it has eyesight, to be really dull. So that felt like a weird thing too. To have to flashlight something that's probably blind. Yeah, that felt a little weird. In actuality, I mean, if you play a lot of games, which I have played a lot of games in my life, for example, the Troglodyte, or like Sableye Pokemon and so on, right? Usually, a lot of those like the dungeon crawling enemies, like Troglodytes or in Pokemon, they have like immunity to like accuracy and, you know, blindness and flashes and so on, right? Because they live in the caverns, so you can't blind them. Yeah, that's a typical trope because it makes sense to have the cave-dwelling monsters be immune to different kind of blind effects. Yeah, that's how it usually is in many games, right? Because it's like a logical based. Yeah, you know, the cave monster probably, the cave lizard monster probably has no eyes. Yeah, and you can see it on the eyesight. And the lizard even has the kind of weird thing on its eyes, right? It even had that thing weird for its eyes there, so it felt weird that it would be blinded. That's not a stupid thing there. It doesn't make any sense in my opinion. But now it's been like, okay, fine. Of course, some dungeon monsters are going to be weak against the flash thing. But it's the last thing I would try to do against a salamander if I was playing this kind of game. I'd be like, I would assume it's not weak against flash, blindness, and so on. I would think the all opposite. So it's the last thing I would do. It's the first thing he does. And I mean, in that sense, in my opinion at least, he comes as a moron, right? He comes up as a noob, right? So it's not good for the storytelling. But then we had the flashback. Okay, so we had the flashbacks. They were crap again. The flashbacks were confusing, unnecessary again, confusing again, right? I hated her like, I hated her like, oh, it can't be him. Yeah, that was so stupid. But first of all, the flashback starts with you seeing the behemoth thing again. Why are we seeing this exact thing again, right? Completely fillerish. I hate when they do the flashbacks. When they use flashback, what we saw last episode, they're doing it again there, right? For like 1 or 2 minutes. And then a little bit extra of her crying, of Kairi crying, and then I guess the guy like punched her in the face or like punched her neck or something or smacked her. So most of the flashback was just a recap of last week, right? So pointless. The last little bit didn't add anything at all to the story because we already knew she was crying and so on. So it didn't add anything, but it was there at least a little better. But that could have been shown. And his smacking her was very weirdly animated, so I didn't know. I guess it happened again. The anime is weird, right? And after that, you see her concluding that he probably shut him down. Oh, this guy likes Kaori. He hates him. He's a suspect for this thing. And then it's like, can't be him. So that was ridiculous. That was really stupid. How she's like puzzling stuff together, right? And then she's like, nah. Throws away immediately. Oh, it's so bad writing. And then we see Sensei, and we see them get in there. And then again, it's just so convoluted and stupid way to do a flashback. Like, why are we seeing, instead of seeing them in school, right? Instead of have Sensei and how they're acting in school and so on before they teleport in there. Instead of showing that, we see them kind of after they arrived, but not exactly after they arrived. So we kind of unsure on the time frame of how long has they been there until they met the Pope and so on. It doesn't matter so much, but it's an uncertainty, right? And then they are there, he explains it very, very vaguely. Humans fighting demons, and they are beastmen, but they're not in the storyline apparently. But they have humans fighting demons, right? And then he doesn't explain anything about the classes. Again, no one is explaining why the shooting is weak. No one talking about if they can pick classes or if it's random based or whatever, right? How they're gonna level. Still no one explaining if this K was the last attempt or if it's 10th adventure they have and so on, right? How many they are, set up and so on. So it feels like really weird because, so last flashback, kind of flashback to what happened last week. And then this flashback is like what happened last month or what happened 2 weeks ago. And then I guess next episode is kind of like less flashback what happened 3 weeks ago. I don't know. So very confusing, right? Very unnecessary confusing. Like again, this like stupidly reverse chronological order thing. This makes it harder to follow, right? Because it's much better to just tell us the story how they got there instead of now jumping in kind of after they got there, but not how they got there. So still like a step, it's a weird, but also not really explaining anything at all. We see Sensei joking a bit, but not really explain anything at all how they're going there. So they didn't answer anything whatsoever. And also, why is he going down in the K, right? So I don't get it for a second. Really stupidly done, as last week. It's like the writing is just horrible. It's like the worst you can imagine, I feel. Everything is just... I don't feel more confused now, except why he went downwards, but I feel like this, unfortunately, didn't answer anything that I was questioning last week. It just still remains everything, So, woof, what an anime. The direction clearly is horrible. They have no idea what they're doing. That is pretty obvious. So I guess that's it for this week. See you guys soon with Copcraft. I got a 5-minute break or so. Then we're gonna do Copcraft, a duo cop team, nice cute elf girl, laid back cop guy fighting mystical crime. I kinda liked it. I like her design a lot too. I like the artist doing the. But we already knew it was an Isekai from the premise. We already knew it was an Isekai. That we already knew that. We already assumed it's an Isekai. But it's kind of funny because last week you could you could assume it's Isekai anyway last week. Because his name is, he has a Japanese name and he lives in a fantasy world. So you know it's Isekai because looking like that Manshai. His name is Bell Crane, right? So his name isn't like, Takeda Harada or something in like a fantasy world. So you know it's an Isekai because they have that Japanese name, but they're in like a medieval European fantasy world. So that's why you know it's an Isekai. I would say so anyway, even without saying it. And the opening last week did actually show the Isekai. So now we know it's Isekai because the opening did have teleporter last week. The opening shows the Isekai moment, right? But anyway, see you guys in a 5 minutes with